So in this video we will be discussing about the next part of this chapter called Reproductive Health. Its part 1 is already out in the YouTube. You can refer that particular portion and you can check the video and you can see it from there. And then once you are done with the part 1, then come to this part 2 where we have discussed about these things: the basics of reproductive health, the needs and importance and objectives of this one, uh, population explosion, what are the causes, what are the consequences, and what are the programs that we have in order to control it. Then we have discussed about the birth control methods where we had just an overview of it, and now in this video we will be discussing about few things in details, and then obviously another part will be there, maybe one or maybe two, doesn't matter in which it does matter when how much time it does take. So we will be discussing about each one of them in details. So what we are discussing today in this video is birth control methods. Okay, so this is what we will discuss. There are different methods. First is natural methods, next is barrier methods, intrauterine devices, hormonal methods, and surgical methods. So these are the different methods that we have in order to control the birth rate, in order to control the population explosion. And in each one of these, in case of natural method, we will see about periodic abstinence, we will discuss about withdrawal method, we will discuss about LAM, or also referred to as lactational amenorrhea method. In barrier method, we will discuss about the condoms, which is applicable for both males and females in the market, which are quite easily gettable, diaphragms, cervical caps, and spermicides. In each one of these categories there will be a natural in case of natural method, it will be a natural technique of controlling the birth. In case of barrier method, we will use a barrier so that the fusion of the sperm and ovum doesn't take place. In case of intrauterine device, we will discuss about non-medicated ones, copper releasing ones, and hormone releasing ones. Okay, there are examples. We will discuss about these examples once we move deep into this particular topic. In case of hormonal method, where hormones are used to control the birth, we have oral contraceptive pills, injectable contraceptives, implants, and emergency contraceptive pills. In case of surgical method, we'll discuss about vasectomy, which is basically male sterilization, and tubectomy, which is basically female sterilization. Okay, so there are 5 different ways. One is natural method, barrier method, IUDs, hormonal method, and surgical method. Okay, so we'll be discussing about each one of them in much more details. Moreover, we will discuss about medical termination of pregnancy and other contraceptive methods that are present. Chalo, let us start with natural methods. So in case of natural method of contraception, it is based on the avoidance of coitus during the fertile period of the cycle. So it is basically a method of contraception. It is basically the method of resisting birth. To on what basis? The basis is avoiding having sexual intercourse when the female is fertile, because in case of males there is no condition like fertility period. In case of females there is something called fertile period. You know that in case of females they have menstrual cycle, and specifically few days of menstrual cycle are very important, because at that particular point of time the females are very much fertile because they release ovum from their ovary. And if a person can avoid sexual intercourse at this particular point of time, then it can lead to natural method of contraception. So the first method of falling under the category of natural method of contraception is a periodic abstinence. What is this? It is the avoidance of coitus. Coitus is the medical term of sexual intercourse during the fertile period of the menstrual cycle. We know that normally a menstrual cycle is of 28 days and ovulation occurs around the 14th day. Hence, if a couple avoids sexual intercourse between day 10 to day 17, which is called the fertile period in case of the females, then it can resist the rate of birth. Okay, it requires regular cycle and proper calculations has to be done very properly so that it doesn't break that particular barrier of day 10 to day 17. But this process is less effective as the sperm can survive up to 48 to 72 hours in the female reproductive tract. Now if a person is having sexual intercourse maybe on day 8th, seeming कि भाई ठीक है ये तो डे 10 नहीं है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, फिर पीरियोडिक एब्सिस्टेंस हो जाएगा, लेकिन वो नहीं हो सकता है. क्यों नहीं हो सकता है? या चांसेस हाई नहीं होता है, बट चांसेस आर नॉट इवन ज़ीरो. ठीक है, क्यों? बिकॉज द स्पर्म कैन सर्वाइव इनसाइड द फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव ट्रैक फॉर 48 to 72 आवर्स. मतलब 3 दिन के लिए वो सर्वाइव कर सकता है. सो इफ द पर्सन इज हैविंग सेक्शुअल इंटरकोर्स एट डे 8, सीमिंग कि आई एम फॉलोइंग द रिदम मेथड, it doesn't ensure that the person will not get, or the female or the lady will not get pregnant, because the sperm can survive for 48 to 72 hours, and once the ovum is released, maybe the sperm can fertilize it. Okay, so it is a less effective method. Another method of natural way of of resisting this birth, or it is a natural method of contraception, is coitus interruptus or withdrawal method. What is this? In this method, the penis is withdrawn from the vagina just before ejaculation. There is a process where the penis releases the sperm directly into the vagina, and while the male partner is about to ejaculate inside the vagina, if the person takes out his penis, in that case the sperm will not be deposited in the vagina, and as a result of which the chances of getting pregnant is less. This prevents the deposition of semen inside the vagina. It is less reliable because the pre-ejaculatory fluid may contain sperm, and hence the chances of pregnancies are higher. So this method is also less effective or less reliable because before the release of sperm, pre-ejaculatory fluid is released which may contain sperm, and those sperms can also fertilize the ovum. Another method of natural contraception is, it is based on natural infertility that occurs during lactation, and that is why the name is lactational amenorrhea method, or in short it is called LAM. It is frequent and exclusive breastfeeding suppression ovulation. When the mother is breastfeeding a newly born baby, during that point of time the ovulation is suppressed, the ovulation process is suppressed, and at that particular point of time, if a couple is having sexual intercourse, then the chance of conceiving another baby reduces. Okay, but this is effective only for 6 months after delivery. If the baby is less than 6 months old, mother is exclusively breastfeeding, and the mother has not started menstruation once again. Its effectiveness is highest, that is 98% under ideal conditions. After 6 months or with the return of menstruation, another method should be used. So this is only applicable for the 6 months after delivery, but in case of some females, before 6 months only the menstruation starts, and in that case lactational amenorrhea method will not work. Then we have to use another contraceptive methods. So this was about the natural methods. The first one was periodic abstinence or rhythm method, second one is withdrawal method, and the third one is LAM or lactational amenorrhea method. Now let us discuss about the barrier methods. That was the natural method. This is the barrier method. So in case of the barrier method, it prevents the entry of the sperm into the female reproductive tract and thus prevents fertilization. So in this method, what we will see that the sperm and the ovum fusion is not allowed. Okay, so the fertilization is not happening, and as a result of which pregnancy is not a concerned in this case. These methods are safe, these methods are easy to use and has minimal side effect, and they do not interfere the hormonal balance of the body. So in case of barrier method, it is safe, is easy to use. One point I should mention here, it is reversible. That means when you are using these barrier methods, then it will stop the fertilization. When you are not using it, then it will lead to pregnancy, as simple as that. That will not affect the normal reproductive process of a person. Okay? And it has minimal side effects. Sometimes it has few side effects, but it can be cured with some normal medication processes. But other than that, the side effects are null in this case, and it does not interfere any hormonal balance in case of the parents. Now, what are the different barrier methods? The first one is the use of condoms, which are applicable for males and females. So in the market, there are male condoms, there are female condoms. Their function is the same, so we will discuss it under the same category. Condoms are thin sheets that prevents the entry of sperm into the vagina. So they are basically what? They are thin sheets. They are thin sheets specifically made up of latex so that it can resist the entry of sperm into the vagina. Male condom is worn on the penis and female condom is inserted inside the vagina before sexual intercourse. They are the most effective way of protecting against सेक्सुअली ट्रांसमिटेड इन्फेक्शन. तो अगर आपके नीट के क्वेश्चन में या बोर्ड के क्वेश्चन में या कहीं पर भी आपके पास ये क्वेश्चन आ जाए दैट विच मेथड इज मोस्ट यूजफुल इन केस ऑफ प्रोटेक्टिंग अ पर्सन फ्रॉम सेक्सुअली ट्रांसमिटेड इन्फेक्शन, व्हाट विल बी योर आंसर? बेरियर मेथड. अगर आपके ऑप्शन में बेरियर मेथड है तो बेरियर मेथड, या तो आपके ऑप्शन में अगर कॉन्डम्स लिखा हुआ है देन दैट विल बी योर करेक्ट आंसर, राइट. द नेक्स्ट one is a diaphragm. It is a soft dome shaped silicone cup, rubber or silicone cup. It is inserted into the vagina to cover the cervix before coitus. So these structures, you can see the diagram here also. So diaphragms are basically what? They are silicone or rubber cups which are inserted inside the vagina to cover the cervix, so that if the sperm is discharged inside the female reproductive tract, it doesn't move above the cervix. It blocks the sperm from entering the uterus. Next category is similar to that of diaphragm, and that is cervical caps. These are small soft rubber caps. They fit tightly over the cervix. They prevent the sperm from entering the uterus. Okay. The last one in this category is spermicides. These are chemical substances that kill or immobilize sperms. They are available in the form of creams, jellies, foam, tablets, and vaginal suppositories. So try to understand. In the first three conditions, in case of condom, in case of diaphragm, and in case of cervical cup, there was no external thing that is being used directly inside the organism's body. We are using some kind of protection, we are using some kind of barrier. But in case of spermicides, which can be creams, jellies, or foam, they can be used inside the female reproductive tract so as to make sure that it kills and immobilizes the sperms as soon as they enter it, and as a result of which the chances of a sperm fertilizing an ovum lowers down in a very significant amount. Spermicides are used along other barrier methods for better effectiveness. Sometimes, even after using spermicidal cream, there are conditions where you can see that the sperm is fertilizing an ovum. So these spermicides are used alongside the cervical caps or diaphragm or condoms so as to make sure that the effectiveness of barrier method is obtained at its highest level. What are the advantages? It is easy to use and readily available. It has no hormonal side effect, and it also provides protection against STIs or sexually transmitted infection. Limitation: it must be used every time before sexual intercourse. It may cause allergy in some individuals. I've told you that it is having minimal side effect, right? Minimal side effect, no side effect note, minimal side effect. There are some people in the population which can experience allergy due to the use of these things, and it is less effective. It is not used incorrectly. So if it is incorrectly used, then the effectiveness of these kind of things is reduced. Now the next category is intrauterine devices. Next category is intrauterine devices. Intrauterine devices. Intra means that these things will be present inside the uterus, and it is very important with respect to the exam point of view. IUDs or intrauterine devices are small devices inserted into the uterus by a trained health professional, not untrained, trained health professional. They are safe, highly effective, long acting, and reversible contraceptive. So it focuses on all the characteristics that a contraceptive should have. It is safe, it is highly effective, it is long acting, and it is reversible. Most importantly, it is reversible. They prevent the pregnancy mainly by increasing the phagocytic activity of the uterus. So the uterus has already an activity by which they can engulf and remove, they can phagocyte and remove some sperms from it. What these intrauterine devices does, it increases this phagocytic activity and it removes the sperm, it suppresses the sperm motility, and it suppresses the fertilizing capacity. IUDs can remain in the uterus for several years, but it can be removed anytime by a trained professional or a doctor. Okay. So in the previous two conditions, natural method and barrier method, no need of medical health professionals were there, but in this case there is a need of medical health professional. There are three different types of IUDs. One is non-medicated, one is copper releasing, and the other one is hormone releasing IUDs. So the non-medicated IUDs, examples are Lippes loop, stainless steel rings. This is an example or a diagram of Lippes loop. It increases the phagocytic activity of the uterus. After the uterine environment, they alter the uterine environment and inhibit the sperm motility and fertilization. So it does what? It changes the uterine environment, it decreases the fertilization rate, and it stops the sperm from being motile by increasing the phagocytic activity. Second is copper releasing IUD. Examples are copper T, copper 7, and multiload 375. This is the diagram of copper T. Copper ions are released which suppresses the sperm motility and fertilizing capacity. So what it does, it keeps on releasing copper ions slowly, and that decreases the sperm motility, and it also affects the fertilizing capacity of the sperms. It increases the phagocytic activity of the uterus and prevents implantation of the fertilized ovum. So once the ovum gets fertilized, even if the ovum gets fertilized, it doesn't allow the implantation process to the walls of the uterus, and that is how it resists the process of conceiving a new baby. Third is hormone releasing IUDs. Examples are LNG20. LNG20 is one of the most classical example because it releases a progesterone hormone slowly, which thickens the cervical mucus and inhibits the sperm transport. It makes the endometrium unsuitable for implantation. So their main goal is either to increase the phagocytic activity or inhibit the sperm motility and decrease the fertilizing capacity, or to prevent the endometrium from any kind of implantation. So all IUDs are effective for several years and are reversible. They do not interfere the sexual activity and have no side effect on lactation. They are one of the most reliable and contraceptive methods. Now let us discuss about the next method, that is oral contraceptive pills. Right. So let us change the color a bit. Chalo. So oral pills, oral contraceptive pills. These are hormonal pills taken by mouth. They contain synthetic hormones like estrogen and progestin. One pill is taken daily for 21 days. There are some medicines that are being prescribed by the doctor specifically to the persons who are surviving with a disorder like PCOD or PCOS. In that case, they are being given with this pill, which is to be taken for 21 days regularly, followed by a 7-day gap or a placebo pills, or in order to make sure that there is a way of contraception in case of those persons. They inhibit ovulation. What they do? They inhibit the process of ovulation. They reduce the chances of ovary to ovulate and produce ovums. and makes the cervical mucus thick, preventing fertilization. What are the examples? Mala N, Mala D, Mala Day, Pearl, and Saheli are the examples of such oral pills. Injectable contraceptives, these are hormones that are injected into the body, contains progestin or a mixture of progestin and estrogen. A single injection provides protection for several weeks, like 1 to 3 months. They inhibit the ovulation process and thickens the cervical mucus. Examples are given here. One of the most classical examples is cyclophem. Emergency contraceptive. If a couple had sexual intercourse which is unprotected, which they didn't follow the process of natural natural barrier method, natural method of abstinence, or barrier method, or maybe copper teas and all these things, they have not followed any one of them, and they have a chance that they are going to have a pregnancy in forward time. So in that case, they use emergency contraceptives. These are pills that are used to prevent pregnancy after unprotected sexual intercourse or failure of any contraceptive method. They should be taken as early as possible, preferably within 72 hours, and that is why the name of the company is Unwanted 72. It is not meant for regular use. One of the most important point is what? It is not meant for regular use. It shouldn't be used regularly, because regular use of such emergency contraceptive can lead to some medical problems in case of the female body. Advantages are what? They are highly effective if they are used correctly. They are easy to use, they are reversible, they do not interfere with the sexual activity, they help in regulating the menstrual cycle, and in some methods, like in case of some of the methods, like in case of these injectable ones, they can resist the chances of STI. Obviously, along with that, condoms must be used. Any one of the barrier methods must be used. Limitations were what? They must be used consistently and correctly. They should not protect any kind of STIs. Okay, they resist the process of they resist STIs up to a certain limit, but sexually transmitted infections are greatly reduced if they are using barrier methods. Other than that, no other methods can protect a person from having STIs. They may cause side effects like nausea, headache, weight gain, and mood changes. Some methods requires medical supervision. Emergency pills are less effective and should not be used repeatedly. I have told you just now that it shouldn't be used regularly because it can cause some complications in case of the female body. The next method is a surgical method. This is basically non-reversible method. ये एक non-reversible method है. Surgical methods are permanent methods of contraception. These methods involve minor surgical procedures to block the transport of gametes and therefore prevent fertilization. They are safe, highly effective, and suitable for individuals who do not want any more children. These methods do not affect the sexual drive or hormonal balance in case of the body, but these are irreversible in nature. Once these surgical methods are done, there is no coming back. Two most commonly methods are vasectomy and tubectomy. Vasectomy in case of males and tubectomy in case of females. So what is done in case of vasectomy? It is a minor surgical procedure in which the vas deferens is cut and dyed. This prevents the transport of sperm from the testis to urethra. Semen is still ejaculate but without any sperms. It is a simple, safe, and effective method of sterilization. A diagram is given where basically this point, ये अगर मैं यहाँ पे एक line draw कर दूँ, basically this point is cut, which is called vas deferens. ये vas deferens की जगह पे cut लगाया जाता है and a knot is being tied so that the sperms doesn't get delivered into the urethra. Similarly, अगर यही cut fallopian tube में आ जाता है, अगर यही cut जो है fallopian tube में आ जाता है, यही cut जो है fallopian tube में आ जाता है इस जगह पे, so that the ovums cannot travel, that condition is called tubectomy. It is a minor surgical procedure in which the fallopian tubes are cut and tied. It prevents the ovum from meeting the sperm. It is safe, effective, and permanent method. It does not interfere the menstrual cycle or any kind of hormonal imbalance. Both methods are permanent and intend to the individuals or couples who have completed their family. Okay, so if a couple has completed their family, then in that case the doctor recommends, after their consent, the doctor recommends that you can go for vasectomy or tubectomy to make sure that there is no further chance of any kind of pregnancy. They are among the most reliable methods. So these methods are the most reliable methods of contraception. It is reversible in some cases, but it is not guaranteed. Sometimes it can be reversible, but majority of the times, in like most of the cases, it is irreversible in nature. So in this video we have discussed about the different types of contraception method. Let me go to the first page. Yes, this one, natural method, in which we have discussed about periodic abstinence, withdrawal method, lactational amenorrhea method. In case of barriers, we have discussed about condoms, diaphragm, cervical cups, and spermicide. In case of IUDs, we have discussed about non-medicated ones, copper releasing ones, and hormone releasing ones. In case of hormonal method, we have seen oral contraceptive pills, injectable contraceptive, emergency pills. In case of surgical method, we have seen vasectomy and tubectomy. So these are the different methods by which birth can be controlled. These are the different methods by which we can control the birth. Now in the next lecture, we will discuss about this very important topic, that is medical termination of pregnancy. When it is done, what are the reasons, what are the risks that can arise, what are the complications that can arise due to this medical termination of pregnancies, and the different aspects of it, and we will discuss the rest part of the chapter alongside it. So one more part of the video and this chapter will be over. So in this particular portion, we have tried to cover almost all different types of methods of contraception. I hope you liked what you have studied right now. Make sure to drop a like, a comment, a nice comment from your side. A like from your side might take few seconds of your whole time, but that will be of very use in case of educators like us who are trying to develop the new method of teaching through online, so that the students can get benefited from it. So thank you everyone. If you have any doubts, you can use the comment section to ask, and see you in the next lecture. Till then, like, share and subscribe, and follow this channel for more educational videos. Thank you everyone.